Well, I'm Phil Heimlich, and this is the Radical Middle. I want to talk to you about a case that's you probably heard about. It's been in the news a lot. It involves a guy named Kilmar Obrego Garcia. Now, he entered our country illegally from El Salvador over 10 years ago because he was being threatened by gangs in El Salvador. And since then, he's been here 10 years, he's married, and has three kids. What is important to know is that even though he came here illegally, a judge since ruled that he can stay in this country because his life would be at risk if he went back to El Salvador. So he's here legally. You probably know the Trump administration has engaged in a massive effort to deport undocumented migrants. In fact, they've deported over 100,000 since Trump took office. Now, supposedly they're focusing on criminals, and in particular gang members. They're sending these guys to a notorious prison in El Salvador. They cram 22 men in a cell. They practice torture on a regular basis. And it seems like there are no fixed sentences. In other words, there's no date that you get out. In fact, one Salvadoran official said the only way out of that jail is in a coffin. Our country's paying the Salvadoran government about $5 to $6 million to house these prisoners. Understand one thing. None of these guys got a hearing before they were shipped to El Salvador. I mean, they never had a chance to prove they weren't a gang member or a criminal. What makes this case of this guy, Garcia, so different is that even the Trump administration admitted in court that Garcia was mistakenly sent to El Salvador. Now, a side note, the Justice Department attorney who admitted he was wrongly sent there has since been fired, but I digress. Okay, a federal judge, a federal appeals court, and last week, the U.S. Supreme Court ordered the Justice Department to bring this guy back from El Salvador because he was wrongly deported. Now, without getting into the weeds here, President Trump has essentially said, we're not going to do it. In other words, we're not going to obey the court. And their issue is, well, we can't do anything because he's in another country and he's under the jurisdiction of that country. Well, here's the catch-22. We shipped him out of the country. So they're saying, well, we shipped him out, but because he's in a foreign country, now we can't do anything. Now, this is a complete joke. Everyone knows that President Trump could pick up the phone and call the dictator in El Salvador and tell him to send the guy back. I mean, after all, we're paying him millions of dollars to jail these people. Okay, you guys may not care what happens to illegal immigrants, especially gang members. But remember, first of all, none of these guys got a hearing to prove that they weren't gang members. But here's what really, really troubles me. It ought to trouble you. If the government can grab people off the street and send them to a jail in El Salvador, what will they do next? Well, President Trump told us the other day. He said he wants to start sending American citizens to the jail in El Salvador. You know, people like you and me. Now, again, if you don't care what happens to illegals, just remember this famous quote from the German pastor Martin Niemöller. He said, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. I'm Phil Heimlich, and this is the Radical Middle.